Hello, welcome to Unlocking Buddhism. Settle your awareness gently, dear friends, and allow your breath to become a quiet anchor in this present moment. Let the world outside recede, and with a soft focus, bring your attention to the landscape within. Here, in this inner space, we begin a journey not of striving, but of profound observation. We often find ourselves navigating a terrain of familiar thoughts, emotions, and reactions. These are the well-worn pathways of our minds, etched deep by habit and repetition. Even when these paths lead to unease, to a subtle yet persistent form of suffering, we notice a tendency to remain upon them. It is as if the known, even when it is arduous, holds a peculiar and often unconscious magnetism for us. We cling to what is familiar, sometimes with a tenacity that defies our conscious wish for peace. Consider this. There is a profound paradox in the human experience where we may unknowingly seek a strange kind of solace, a semblance of comfort, within mental states that are, in their very nature, detrimental to our well-being. This is not to suggest a deliberate choice for unhappiness, but rather to illuminate a subtle, almost invisible attachment to certain patterns of thinking and feeling that have become deeply ingrained. Perhaps it is the comfort of predictability, the deceptive safety of a known affliction, however wearying it may be. We may find ourselves revisiting the same anxieties, the same criticisms, the same narratives of inadequacy, not because they bring joy, but because their familiarity offers a peculiar sense of structure, an identity, within the vast uncertainty of existence. This clinging to what is known, even when it brings suffering, often manifests as a resistance to the unknown. The path to liberation, the journey towards a deeper, more abiding peace, inherently involves stepping away from the familiar. It asks us to loosen our grip on the mental habits that have long defined our inner world. Yet, the very notion of stepping into the unknown can evoke a quiet apprehension. Our minds, seeking to preserve what is established, might subtly recoil from the spaciousness of true freedom, preferring the confines of a known cage to the boundless expanse of an open sky. This initial inquiry is a gentle invitation to reflect upon this intricate dance within ourselves. It is an opportunity to observe, without judgment, the ways in which we might derive an unconscious comfort from mental states that, upon closer inspection, do not serve our deepest aspiration for genuine happiness. Why do we hold so tightly to these familiar patterns, even when they bind us? What is the nature of this subtle comfort we find in detrimental mental states? We are not here to condemn these tendencies, but to understand them with clarity and compassion. This understanding is the very first step on a path that promises a profound shift in our relationship with our own minds. It is a path that asks us to inquire, to observe, and ultimately to gently release the grip of habit. The journey we embark upon together is one of mindful exploration, where we will gradually uncover the hidden threads that weave these patterns and learn to discern the true nature of freedom that lies beyond them. Let us open ourselves to this exploration with a quiet curiosity, allowing the seeds of a deeper awareness to begin to sprout within our hearts and minds. The invitation is simply to be present and to observe what arises, as we begin to gently question the comfort we seek in the familiar and gaze towards the unknown possibilities of liberation. Approaching this natural inclination, we notice a subtle, pervasive resistance arising when the mind is invited to deviate, to explore new possibilities of thought and being. An unseen current seems to pull us back, anchoring us to the well-trodden banks of past habits and conditioned responses. This resistance is not a flaw to be vanquished with force, but a deeply ingrained pattern to be understood with gentle awareness. We do not aim to erase these habits, but to illuminate them, to see their mechanisms with clarity, and in that seeing, begin to loosen their hold. Left to itself, the river of the mind carves ever deeper channels in consciousness, reinforcing the limits we seek to transcend. It is a delicate dance between the comfort of the familiar and the summons of a more expansive flow. Understanding this resistance matters. It asks us to cultivate a patient, discerning gaze, turning inward to notice the precise instant the mind recoils from a fresh perspective, when it clings to a known narrative despite discomfort. This clinging is often silent and almost imperceptible, a gentle tightening around an old idea, a familiar feeling, a habitual judgment. We may sense a slight tension, an unease, an unwillingness to release a long-held belief. This unwillingness is not weakness, but evidence of powerful conditioning that shaped our inner world. The mind's craving for stability will often prefer the known, even when it causes suffering, over the perceived instability of the unknown. Consider the discomfort when we attempt to divert the mind's current. It is like a river meeting an obstacle, a sudden turn, a momentary turbulence, a churning as the flow adjusts. Similarly, when we invite the mind to pause its habitual stream and question deeply held assumptions, a subtle disquiet can arise. This disquiet is not proof of error, but a natural response to disrupting ingrained patterns. It is the friction when the momentum of habit meets the intention of awareness. Rather than recoiling, we can meet this discomfort with steady, compassionate presence, understanding it as a sign that a shift is beginning. This friction offers a profound opportunity for insight. If we remain present, observing discomfort without judgment, we begin to perceive the intricate web of associations and beliefs that bind us. We might notice how certain thoughts connect to particular emotions, how specific memories trigger predictable reactions, or how familiar self-narratives shape identity, even when limiting. This observation is not merely intellectual, but a felt knowing arising from quiet, sustained attention. In that attention, we start to recognize the illusion of permanence in our mental constructs, seeing them not as fixed realities, but as fluid, transient phenomena. Our practice becomes gentle inquiry, allowing the light of awareness to penetrate deep habits. We are not forcing the river's course, but, with skillful patience, inviting it to find more spacious channels. This requires profound self-compassion, acknowledging that these habits formed over a lifetime, often to protect or cope. There is no need for self-criticism when resistance appears. Instead, we meet it with kindness, as one guides a small child learning to walk. Each stumble, each recoil, becomes an opportunity for deeper understanding and renewed commitment to freedom. Over time, mindful observation of inner resistance transforms our relationship with suffering. Discomfort ceases to be an enemy and becomes a messenger, indicating that something within seeks greater balance. The familiar paths of the mind, once unavoidable, reveal their constructed nature. We discern the subtle mechanisms of clinging, the near-invisible threads that bind us. In patient, compassionate seeing, the grip of suffering loosens, not by force but by a gentle unfolding of awareness. The river, once confined, widens its banks and allows a more expansive flow. This is a process of unlearning and dismantling, with tenderness and wisdom, the structures that contributed to our pain. It is not rushed, but undertaken with quiet dedication, each insight ripening in its own time, fostering a deep peace that transcends conditioned limits. The path forward is not eradication, but understanding and transformation, letting the heart's inherent wisdom guide us toward a liberation both profound and enduring, like a river carving stone with patient persistence. Indeed, just as a cold shower brings initial discomfort, then clarity, breaking mental habits requires confronting resistance. This discomfort is a gateway to transformation and liberation from ingrained reactions, revealing a path to a more adaptable mind. Though forbidding at first, this gateway is an entrance to freedom. Acknowledging and allowing mental discomfort, rather than averting or suppressing it, is liberating. At the threshold of unease, our resilience and capacity for change emerge. We spend lives arranging circumstances to avoid inner discomfort, only to find it rooted in our internal architecture, familiar grooves of thought and feeling. To step into this cold shower of the mind is to face the chill of the unfamiliar, to observe the ripples without judgment, and to recognize them as transient. The mind, used to its grooves, protests when invited to carve a new path. This protest is not failure but indicator. It shows where attention is needed, illuminating attachments that bind us. In mindful engagement with discomfort, we learn to distinguish genuine suffering from the mind's habitual aversion. True suffering often springs from resisting what is, clinging to desires or pushing away experiences. The discomfort of breaking a habit is different, a muscle stretching, the tremor of uncertain ground. It is the friction of growth, the instability before a new balance. By being present with this discomfort, allowing it to simply be, we begin to dismantle unconscious programs that trigger avoidance. We cultivate spaciousness around the sensation, seeing it as neither permanent nor harmful. It becomes a teacher, guiding us to the roots of attachment and revealing how habits hold. This steady presence transforms discomfort from obstacle into guidepost, directing us toward deeper self-awareness and authentic liberation. Consider how the mind recoils when a new perspective challenges a long-held belief. Perhaps a self-narrative is questioned by insight from meditation. The mind, loyal to its story, may respond with protective thoughts, subtle tightening, or a wave of doubt. This is the moment to pause and observe. Rather than becoming entangled or reverting to the familiar, we can notice these reactions and offer quiet, compassionate acceptance. Here is the mind's preference for the familiar. Here is the habit reasserting. Such non-judgmental acknowledgement creates distance between awareness and reaction, allowing us to observe the mechanism without being consumed by it. This practice of non-identification with reactive discomfort is fundamental. We are not the discomfort nor the thoughts it provokes. We are the awareness that observes them. By returning attention to that observing awareness, we weaken the automatic link between discomfort and aversion. The cold shower loses its shock and becomes invigorating. We perceive the clarity that comes from facing the unfamiliar, the freshness of letting go of stagnant patterns. The mind, once rigid, softens, becoming more pliable and adaptable. This adaptability arises not from force, but from patient, consistent presence with what arises, especially those sensations that pull us toward the familiar. Repeated engagement with this process builds inner freedom. Discomfort ceases to be a barrier and becomes a signal for growth, an invitation into the spaciousness of unconditioned awareness. True security is not clinging to the known, but resting in an abiding presence that meets any experience with equanimity and quiet. This shift, nurtured by patient attention, lets the river of consciousness find new channels, leading to life felt more vibrant and serene, like the calm after a cleansing storm. The journey is not about removing challenges, but transforming our relationship to them, seeing each uncomfortable moment as a chance to deepen understanding and strengthen capacity for genuine freedom. It is a path of courageous gentleness, where every step away from habit is a step toward the boundless expanse of liberation. Indeed, true wisdom is not simply accumulating more ideas or bolstering old patterns, nor is it fixing what's broken by endlessly adding resources. It is the courage to subtract what no longer serves and to divide large difficulties into manageable parts, rather than perpetually increasing our mental burden. This perspective invites a shift from constant addition to discerning release, a gentle disengagement from what weighs on the spirit. We habitually collect information, possessions, experiences, believing additions will bring fulfillment or calm. Yet this ceaseless adding thickens the mental landscape and increases overwhelm. In seeking peace, the mind often creates more entanglement by gathering rather than letting go. Consider the landscape of your own mind. How much of it is occupied by thoughts, beliefs, attachments that once helped but now clutter the space? These mental possessions, the stories and self-definitions we carry, are often held from habit, fear of emptiness, or simple inattention. Subtraction here is not a violent tearing away, but a mindful recognition and compassionate release. The wisdom to discern what nourishes inner peace and what only weighs it down. This discernment grows through stillness and observation, seeing without judgment what serves and what hinders. Gentle subtraction begins with subtle habits, the persistent inner voice of self-criticism, for example. Rather than engaging and feeding it, we can withdraw attention, not by fighting the thought, another form of adding, but by quietly redirecting awareness, like turning a spotlight from a distracting object. With practice, the energy sustaining these patterns diminishes. They fade like footprints on a shore. This is the wisdom of not fueling what depletes us. Wisdom also shows itself in division when facing overwhelming difficulties. A problem may appear monolithic, a mountain that induces paralysis. Instead, we reframe it, break it into smaller, manageable parts. A complex task feels impossible when taken whole. As a sequence of steps, it becomes approachable. The same applies to inner struggles. Anxiety, for instance, can be divided into the specific thoughts that feed it, the sensations it evokes, the memories it recalls, the scenarios it projects. Isolating these elements allows each to be addressed with clarity and less reactivity. This process is liberating. What seems insurmountable becomes a series of navigable steps. Each small, mindful action chips away at the larger difficulty, reducing perceived complexity rather than adding burden. It cultivates agency and quiet confidence. Even formidable challenges can be met with patience and wisdom. The path to freedom is paved not with grand gestures, but with consistent, small acts of engagement. Practicing subtraction and division cultivates inner spaciousness and clarity. It's a continual refinement, letting go of the superfluous and tending to the essential. So the mind moves with greater ease and deeper peace. Unburdened by accumulation or paralyzed monoliths, it becomes agile, responsive, aligned with its capacity for wisdom and compassion. This shift, from adding to releasing, from accumulating to discerning, is the essence of a liberated mind, wealthy not for what it holds, but for what it gently lets go. Each act of subtraction and division reveals simplicity and serenity at the heart of being, a courageous gentleness that opens the world to an open heart and a clear mind. To avoid being enslaved by our own opinions and perceptions, we must see that any idea, however noble, can become a prison without an exit strategy. Mental flexibility is essential to break cycles of thought and behavior, allowing the mind to adapt, find new perspectives, and regain freedom. This is an invitation to examine thoughts not as fixed truths, but as transient currents within a vast ocean of consciousness. When we cling to a viewpoint, a cherished belief, or a rigid self-image, we build walls around ourselves. These walls, made of seemingly harmless ideas, block the flow of insight, inhibit compassion, and stunt the unfolding of wisdom. In seeking certainty and stability, the mind often turns conclusions into dogma. Such subtle grasping narrows vision, obscures alternative paths, and hinders genuine empathy. Since all phenomena, including our mental constructs, are impermanent and interdependent, insisting they remain unchanging invites inner suffering, a quiet contraction of spirit. Cultivating mental flexibility is therefore not merely intellectual. It is a spiritual practice of liberation. It is the art of holding ideas lightly, recognizing their provisional nature, and releasing them when they cease to serve awakening. This does not mean lacking conviction or moral direction. It means remaining open to growth, acknowledging the limits of our understanding, and learning from every experience. Even a noble truth, clung to rigidly, can become an impediment. The exit strategy from the prison of opinion is flexibility, the capacity to step back, observe mental models, and loosen our grip. Think of a river. A rigid dam, though well-intended, obstructs water, causing stagnation above and deprivation below. A rigid mind similarly impedes insight, preventing new understanding from nourishing awareness. A flexible mind, by contrast, adapts its course, finds paths around obstacles, and seeks harmonious flow. It embraces change as inherent to existence, responding to life with creativity rather than repeating stale patterns. This cultivation begins with gentle, persistent self-inquiry. Ask with calm openness, am I holding this idea out of habit or true insight? Does this thought serve my highest well-being and that of others, or limit my compassion? Such questions are not meant to breed doubt or self-criticism, but to reveal hidden attachments guiding thought and action. In seeing these constructions, release becomes possible. True flexibility reaches beyond outer matters to the stories we tell about ourselves, identities formed from past experiences, successes, failures, roles, and beliefs. While these shape our journey, rigid identification prevents us from inhabiting the present and from the potential for growth. The flexible mind knows the self is not static, but a dynamic process. It sheds outdated identities, making space for new facets to emerge, unburdened by fixed self-concepts. This ongoing practice of letting go and embracing new perspectives requires courage, a quiet trust in the natural intelligence of awareness. It is the willingness to enter the unknown, to sit with the discomfort when familiar structures dissolve, and to remain open to what arises, not passive surrender. This is active engagement with the present, a readiness to be taught by experience, and a commitment to seek deeper understanding. Ultimately, mental flexibility is the key to genuine freedom. Freedom from fixed ideas, from suffering born of clinging, and to experience life in its changing richness. It lets the mind flow like water, nourishing what it meets, fostering compassion, ripening wisdom, and keeping the heart open to unconditioned possibility. Thus, we learn to observe thoughts without becoming enslaved by them, to hold beliefs lightly, and to remain receptive to transformative insight. So our minds are not prisons, but ever-unfolding spaces of awareness. Engaging with these inner challenges, dear friends, we begin to perceive a subtle shift in our relationship with the landscape of our being. It is a journey asking us to turn toward what we have habitually avoided, to acknowledge the currents of discomfort the mind seeks to elude. This turning is not aggression, but courage and compassion. We learn to observe the dance of fear, anger, and sorrow, not as enemies to be vanquished, but as transient visitors, each carrying a message and an opportunity for deeper understanding. The impulse to flee, suppress, or distract is ingrained. True liberation lies not in eradicating these states, but in transforming our relationship with them. By fully feeling them, allowing their presence without judgment or resistance, we begin to loosen their grip. This is not wallowing, but a skillful means of moving through pain rather than being caught within its cycles. Consider the monk who, with deliberate intention, evokes fear to lessen its power. Not an invitation to suffering, but a metaphor for engaging challenges to understand their nature and diminish their sway. When fear arises, instead of escaping, bring a soft, focused awareness. Where do I feel this in my body? What thoughts accompany it? Can I allow the sensation to be even for a few breaths? This patient inquiry creates spaciousness, letting us perceive fear as a phenomenon passing through awareness rather than an absolute truth. The mind tends to identify with strong emotions and thereby intensify them. Mindful engagement cultivates the ability to observe without becoming entangled. With anger, the impulse may be to lash out, blame, or suppress. If we pause and feel anger's raw energy, its heat, tension, quickened breath, we begin to disarm its force. Allow anger to be present like a storm passing through the sky, without feeding it on grievances. This is non-identification, seeing anger as an event in consciousness, not the whole of our being. Met with quiet, unwavering presence, anger loses its sharp edges and reveals causes often rooted in hurt or vulnerability. Sorrow tempts despondency, resistance, or diversion. Yet sorrow, met with gentle, open-hearted awareness, can be a gateway to compassion for ourselves and others. To feel the ache, to let tears flow not in self-pity but with quiet dignity, honors the human experience. We neither cling nor push it away, but hold it with tenderness and recognize its transience. In this allowance, a deeper current of understanding emerges, connecting us to the shared human experience of loss and impermanence. Fully experiencing these states, letting them arise, abide, and pass, prevents imprisonment by their temporary presence. The true work of transformation is the patient, persistent teaching of the mind to disengage. It is gradual, not sudden. Each time we face a difficult emotion with mindfulness instead of avoidance, we reshape mental pathways. We train the mind to be less reactive, less entangled, more spacious. This disengagement is not cold detachment, but wise, compassionate distance that reveals the emotion clearly, without its distorting lens. Like watching a play, we observe the unfolding without becoming caught in the drama. This practice demands patience and self-compassion. Old habits reassert with vigor. The impulse to flee can feel overwhelming. In those moments, we do not condemn ourselves, but return to the breath, the gentle anchor of the present, and begin again. Each return strengthens resolve and deepens presence. The path is meandering, with clarity and struggle. With each act of turning toward difficulty, we cultivate resilience born of soft, open-hearted acceptance. The transformation we seek is not the absence of challenging emotions. They are part of being human. It is the cultivation of inner freedom that lets us meet experience with equanimity and wisdom. We learn to navigate the mind's turbulence like a seasoned sailor who understands currents and respects the sea's power. Observing without identification is true inner strength. Recognizing the impermanent nature of thoughts and feelings, we rest in the unchanging awareness that holds them. This inner stillness becomes our sanctuary amid life's tides. We are no longer defined by what we feel, but by the capacity of awareness to hold and transform it. One gentle breath, one compassionate observation, one wise disengagement at a time, until clarity and freedom are rediscovered and embodied in every moment. This inner stillness becomes our sanctuary amid life's tides. We are no longer defined by what we feel, but by awareness's capacity to hold and transform it. One gentle breath, one compassionate observation, one wise disengagement at a time, until clarity and freedom are rediscovered and embodied in each moment. From that embodiment, awareness naturally expands, touching our inner life and our relations. As the mind learns to navigate its currents with equanimity, a spaciousness arises that lets us perceive others with deeper understanding and a more open heart. Internal liberation dissolves the rigid boundaries we construct between ourselves and those whose perspectives differ. The habit of categorization and judgment recedes, revealing the shared ground of human existence. When the mind is no longer trapped by fixed opinions, it can meet the other not as opponent, but as fellow traveler, worthy of the same kindness we afford ourselves. This shift is subtle yet profound. Wisdom recognizes the interconnectedness of beings. This flexibility, cultivated through patient practice, prevents the slide into dehumanizing those who hold different views. A rigid mind projects fears and insecurities, creating caricatures instead of seeing full humanity. It labels and distances, building walls that breed mistrust and conflict. With a supple mind, we can observe these reactions and choose not to cling to them. We can see the impulse to diminish someone for their opinions as a habit of the unexamined mind, a leftover pattern from when certainty felt safer than openness. Such discernment lets us interrupt prejudice's cycle and respond with intention rather than reflex. The freedom we cultivate empowers us to transcend divisive patterns, understanding that a being's essence is deeper than any single belief. To embody compassion is to know we cannot fight prejudice by generating more of it, even toward those we call prejudiced. That only perpetuates division and suffering. True compassion, born of inner freedom, embraces everyone without exception. This does not mean endorsing harmful actions or agreeing with all views. It means an unwavering commitment to recognizing shared humanity beneath difference. Even with those whose words or deeds disturb us, we can hold a space that acknowledges their inherent worth. This demands non-reactivity, allowing challenging expressions to arise without matching them with contraction or hostility. It is a steady, open-hearted presence that sees beyond surface behavior to the universal human search for happiness and avoidance of suffering, however misguided. Recognizing shared humanity is not passive acceptance but active, discerning compassion. It asks us to look beyond disagreement, identity, and ideology to the vulnerability and aspiration for peace in every heart. Seeing this expands our empathy and dissolves barriers. We understand that suffering is universal, and that actions born of fear, ignorance, or pain reflect that suffering. This understanding does not excuse, it informs. It lets us respond not with retaliatory judgment, but with intent to alleviate suffering in ourselves and others. Such a response is strength, the strength to remain grounded in compassion when challenged, to offer calm amid turbulence. By cultivating spaciousness of mind and heart, we foster true unity, not uniformity of thought, but appreciation of diversity within shared humanity. Unity arises not by erasing differences, but by embracing them with wisdom and kindness. Strength lies in the tapestry of perspectives and in varied ways beings navigate life. When we stop projecting our discomforts onto others and meet them with openness, we create space for genuine connection. This connection transcends verbal agreement or ideological alignment. It resonates on a deeper level of being. True harmony is not absence of discord, but the capacity to hold and integrate disparate elements within a compassionate whole. This shift transforms social life, allowing respectful dialogue, real listening, and collective movement toward understanding and peace. Quietly dissolving mental walls, one gentle breath, one open heart, one act of recognition at a time, until unity becomes lived reality in every interaction. This deep understanding and compassionate engagement must be sustained by a quiet, unwavering vigilance. It is a subtle attentiveness that protects the mind from complacency and the return of limiting patterns. Like a gardener tending a precious plot, pulling weeds and nurturing shoots, we must cultivate our inner landscape. This vigilance is not harsh scrutiny, but a gentle, consistent awareness, a steady light on the currents of thought, feeling, and intention. It is the wisdom to notice when the mind drifts toward familiar, unskillful territories and to act before old habits take root. This practice prevents the buildup of mental debris that obscures the path to liberation, keeping the ground of being fertile for wisdom and compassion. Consider how habit draws the mind toward what is known, even when that brings quiet disquiet. Vigilance is our ally, the ability to perceive the first stirrings of an old pattern, a judgment, a worry, a heart contraction, before it anchors. We observe these tendencies with a soft, non-judging gaze, not to condemn but to understand their nature, and gently return attention to the breath, to the spaciousness of awareness. This redirection is not struggle, but skillful turning, a conscious choice to disengage from limitation and re-engage with what liberates. It is a continual return to the wellspring of our inherent wisdom. Such dedication arises not from rigid dogma, but from direct experience of a liberated mind's benefits. Trust in the Dharma grows from seeing how clinging to fixed views causes suffering and how flexibility opens the heart. We witness clarity emerging as we subtract what no longer serves and break overwhelming challenges into manageable parts. This lived insight transforms vigilance from discipline into joyful expression of our deepest aspiration. The path of Dharma is not a destination, but a way of being, a steady unfolding of wisdom and compassion. Mental impurities, the kleshas, are persistent, appearing in many guises to test resolve, yet diligence and courage erode their power. We recognize their transient nature, clouds crossing the vast sky of awareness, and greet them not with fear, but with steady, open-hearted presence. We refuse to let the mind settle in limiting territories and instead pursue Dharma with equanimity, welcoming the initial friction that leads to transformation. This embraces a courageous gentleness, meeting life as it is with an open heart and clear mind, knowing true freedom lies in unwavering presence. Every moment becomes a chance to deepen understanding, refine practice, and embody the Buddha's wisdom. Gentle redirection slowly changes the fabric of being, guiding us toward an expanse of inner peace where the heart lightens and the mind mirrors the still sky. This is true perseverance, a continual dance of letting go and awakening until the radiance of our nature shines forth, illuminating all beings. We remain vigilant not from fear, but from abiding love for liberation, ours and others. Each breath affirms this dedication. Each thought invites mindful engagement. Each challenge deepens resolve. The Dharma's clarity guides us through life's shifts, offering wisdom and solace, a sanctuary amid currents. It calls us to rest in impermanence, to honor interdependence, and to awaken to the boundless potential of heart and mind. We walk this path with quiet determination and compassionate spirit, knowing true freedom is found not by avoiding friction but by meeting it with equanimity, letting it refine our being, step by gentle step. This rooted practice of mindfulness and compassion builds an inner strength unshaken by vicissitudes, enabling us to meet life with grace and to extend kindness to all on this precious journey of awakening.